Well, we made it to Wednesday. Good morning, Angel P. Good morning, Diana. Hello, I see you. Wendy's in the house. Uli Girl. Hippie Grandma, hello. Vicky made it in. JTB in the house. Indica, good to see you. Laverne, hello. Joanne's in. Tamara's in. Looks like the gang's all in here. Big T says it's going to be a day. It certainly is. It's going to be a hot one. What's the temperature going to be where you're at? Jack said, good morning, y'all, from Cookeville, Tennessee. We're going to be talking about somebody from Cookeville, Tennessee today. We have a lot going on. Going to be hot as hell here for sure. Good morning, my friend Kiki. Hello, Raven. A lot going on. The YouTube streets have been a-buzzing about, well, really nothing, because we haven't had any update. In the case of Summer Wells, we do know that Detective Pruitt, TBI, and FBI said there's no reason to believe she was trafficked. Don said she could be in Mexico. Now, he said that early on. TBI said they can't rule out foul play. Foul play has not been ruled out. That's on the screen. But good old Tim decided to lump Summer in with Sounds of Freedom. Now, a couple of years ago, give or take a few days, Tim said she wandered off to go pet a horse. So you have a very extensive search that did not turn up anything. Nothing. Good morning, Common Sense True Crime. It's going to be something else. Before I get to that, we have a couple of things to go through. First, let's take a second to welcome everybody. It is Hump Day.
Oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's Hump Day.
Woo-hoo!
Halfway to the weekend. Okay, our friend Tracy Michelle. Today is her birthday. She is turning 29 again for the 20th year in a row. Let's tell our friend Tracy happy birthday. Happy birthday, Tracy, and many more. I hope it's the best one yet. Now, I don't know how you do it. Thoughts, prayers, prayer list, get a hold of your minister. I don't know how you do it, but however you do it, we need some get wells. Preschool Granny has a friend with throat cancer that needs lifted up. Mr. Slim, you know our friend Slim, he has kidney stones. As you remember, a few months ago, Muscles and Mascara was laid up in the hospital in severe pain that they could not control. I think she was there 2 or 3 days. She was about to bust out of that place. So we need some prayers for Mr. Slim. And Shani, they're not sure what happened, but her puppy dog had some kind of accident over the weekend. He's got a cone now, and they had to stitch his eye shut. And her puppy dog, like most of us, is like her baby. So let's have some get well vibes going to our very good friends. Horrible. I hope everybody gets well soon. Puppy recovers. Tracy has a great birthday. And I wish everyone a happy hump day except for Dawn, Candace, and Grandis. I pretty much say that every day. Pretty damn furious that old Tim decided to lump Summer in to the Sound of Freedom. We're going to get to that. But first, I have to go through the comments because you guys had a lot to say over the last week. Thank you, Common Sense True Crime. She said, and Tim. Because I just about jumped in and did a show when I saw it, and I was like, no. Let cooler heads prevail. My God. Let's get to the comments. We have a lot to talk about. All right, from the community tab, our friend Barb said, I think having a daughter getting gone seems to be lucrative for the Wells. It's like they are possibly selling her twice. I agree with you, Barb, because there are many people that believe she was sold. According to Don, the FBI came to see him when he was in jail and asked him about the possibility that maybe Summer was sold. He said this on another channel, and the creator said he was just being silly. What a funny joke. FBI came to see if you sold your daughter, and this creator acts like that's just not late night TV. Funny joke. He's just being silly. He being silly. Peas in a Pod said, why am I not surprised? Let us not forget, Margie is the daughter Dawn was so proud of on her 18th birthday for not telling law enforcement what had been done to her. Remember when he said on her 18th birthday, she was AR'd, but she sucked it up and didn't cause any problems for anybody. That's not a Facebook rumor. That's not a YouTube speculation. He said it. Peas in a Pod goes on to say, the male in the room is the one Candace beat up all those years ago and was arrested for it. So they know Candace is violent and have her around the kids, knowing those kids could get gone too. This is a question I keep asking. I know I don't have to ask you guys. But who the hell would let Candace around their minor children? Who? What part of negligence, abuse, endangerment, SA, got gone, foster care is not clicking in some people's brains? I don't understand it. Carol King said, I heard EquiSearch said the other day that they would be back in Hawkins County within 1 day if they were called to look for Summer again. Well, that is one phone call I'd be making because they do a lot of amazing work. Pearl Picker said, I think you guys need to leave this poor family alone. People and kids do vanish. Check out Paul Paudine's Missing 411, who has written 10 books on missing people. I'm not saying her parents are innocent or good, just saying, why are you guys making life even harder for them? Look, I could care less about the suspects. And anyone that says, well, nobody's named him. Nobody's named him. Well, then who do you think they're talking about? Who do you think they're talking about besides the people that were with Summer the day she got gone? We know for sure her mother. We know for sure her grandmother. And we got a big old question mark around Dawn. We don't know. I think law enforcement is doing all they can with what little information they have. But the lack of concern from the parents and grandmother on each side of the family tree, by the way, and not looking around their own area makes me hurt for Summer. I'm not gonna have any sleepless nights about Dawn, Candace, and Grandis. Okay, this got heated the other day, and it really was not my intention, and I really wasn't trying to throw any shade at another creator. But one of you who is actually in the chat right now has spoken to Candace off and on for quite a while. Susan7075 spoke with Candace. She left a public comment. She's not the only one that heard this, by the way. Candace said her heart is breaking. She got bad news. CPS came there and Dawn told her not to come home. It had nothing to do with Summer. Now, there, I don't know. Is there Springdale, Arkansas, or did they go to Ben Hill Road for some reason? I don't know. I know they have court next month, but I don't know why they would personally show up. I don't know that much about it. I could see CPS going to that hotel room. Anyway, she goes on to say, Candace drinks like a fish and smokes cigs all day. She made a lot more than $300 when I talked to her. She was up to $460. Now, that's when she talked to her. Candace said to her, I'm going to read it verbatim, she had to give Daisy a cut. Candace said she and Daisy fooled the subscribers. Candace should be back in Tennessee now. Now, I am not saying that Daisy is part of any scam or anything like that, but we all know how Candace rolls. And we know how she rolls on everybody except for Dawn and Grandis. We know that. She has screwed over person after person after person after person. Daisy was about to have a meltdown the other night. She left me a comment, and I said, it's a public comment on here. I spoke to Lips, and she said she was going to ask about the cut to Daisy. I really don't want to know. I don't care. That's between them. That's between them. But Candace is back in Tennessee, because when Susan said she should be back in Tennessee now, I heard from Lips. We were emailing back and forth, and she said, oh, yeah, she's back now. Supposedly she went to Fred's property. Why? Why would she go to Fred's? She's staying with Squalls, supposedly. Why doesn't she go home? Does it seem to anybody? Does it seem to anyone that maybe she's hiding out? So she got to Tennessee on Monday. So that part is true. So this woman is telling the truth about this. And she's never lied to me before. Everything she's ever told me has checked out. She went to a friend's house, according to her in a chat. Now, if CPS showed up to my hotel room, I'd send her straight down the road. I wouldn't want her anywhere near my children. She has a history of child abuse, and these people taunting, she has a good heart. She has a good heart. According to her, she doesn't. She has a pacemaker and they can't find batteries for it. The kind of heart they're talking about, we damn sure know she doesn't have. Because with all this money that has been raised, there has been no, let's find Summer. We need help finding Summer. The Kyron Horman Foundation, along with the Elizabeth Smart Foundation and Class Kids Foundations, have received some heat for people that don't have good hearts, saying these people are scamming the public. No, they're not. No, they're not. Kyron Horman's mother has a car wash every year, and with those proceeds has a search for Kyron. Kane Horman has a car show every year. And it's not just for Kyron, but it's for other missing children. The Mark Class, what he has done to help other families with missing children. Elizabeth Smart Foundation. I have a pretty good source that told me that out of all these foundations that help with missing children, not of one of them have ever heard from a Dawn, Candus, or Grandis. But I don't know. I don't know. Well, thank you so much, Common Sense True Crime. Love your work, and I love how you keep it real. Now, before we get to this Cash App thing, let's do the word of the day, and this applies to Candace, because you can't believe anything Can't says. She has bitched for years about people scamming her, and we've seen that it didn't go that way. So this is the secret word of the day.
What's today's secret word?
Ooh, interesting question. Let's go and ask Cocky.
Scam. Scam. Pulling a scam. It's a scam. She didn't need gas money. Could have gotten a bus ticket. Out of her damn mind. Speaking of scams, Robin Badudo, if I'm saying her name right, she's got her own things going on. So why she's taken up for Candace, I'll never know. It's not so much about Dawn. They're really laser focused on Candace. She assured everybody on her Facebook page that she knows that Dawn and Candace don't get high anymore. I do know they are going to rehab. I do know they do not drink anymore. I know that, and I've been busy. How does she know? Because what I saw last week on Cant's channel was a very inebriated Candace. That did not come from vitamins. That did not come from too much nicotine. It damn sure didn't come from a walk or a run. This all happened in the same day. Thank you, Lisa, for the super sticker. You guys are too kind to me, supporting the channel. Thank you so much. Robin said, it's that time again. Now, this is her. Now, this is not Robin from church. This is another Robin. She was hating on the Wells and Grandis for the longest time. But then she was told by another creator that they have good hearts, and she changed her tune. So she also has a daughter that was murdered, and she had to go to Michigan. So she tells people in her group for her daughter, it's that time again. She puts her Cash App up. June is around the corner. I need a little help. Please and thank you in advance. Okay? That's what she said in her group. This was about the middle of May. That night, in Daisy's chat, she says, at Candace, when I can, I'll give you some more money, but I'm getting my stuff around to go to Michigan in June. You don't take money from people in the name of your murdered daughter to go to a chat for a woman who could give a shit about hers and say, hey, once I'm done scamming these people, I'm going to send you the money, or some of it. Some of it. What to do? Now, what some of these geniuses don't realize is that the powers that be, and I don't make the rules, I'm not a legislator, I'm not a politician, I don't make the rules. We came across this when my son and daughter-in-law got married. People were like, look, do you want something off your registry? Do you want some money for your honeymoon? And they were like, whatever you want to do, but don't Cash App us. Because if you use third-party payment platforms like PayPal, Venmo, or Cash App to collect payments for your side gig, business, Daisy's channel would be considered a business. Okay? The Internal Revenue Service wants to remind you to report payments of at least $600 and over. It doesn't have to be a lump sum of $600. It can be $600 that's collected throughout the year. This rule is aimed at individuals who run a side hustle, sounds like Dawn and Candace, small business, that's not them, do part-time work, nope, work is not in her metabolism. So if you're just sending money to friends, for a birthday, splitting the bill at dinner or whatever, it says it doesn't apply to you. But anything over $600, they want you to report to the IRS. Here's the thing about the IRS. They're not going to wait on Dawn and Candace to tell them about the money they've been taking. They're not going to tell them. But the IRS is going to figure it out because they want their moolah. Hell, they put Wesley Snipes in jail. They went after Sandra Bullock. They don't give a shit. Think they care about Dawn and Candace? One thing after another with these people. I mean, if my son and daughter-in-law said, no, we don't want that hassle, don't cash app us. They set up a fund. It's a honeymoon fund. And you could do it through, it's called The Knot. It's a website. It's got their registry and everything. So you want to throw $20 in it? Fine. It goes to a separate bank account. They're like, not dealing with that. Not these fools. So let me ask you, because a couple of people have been told this by Candace. Do you really think Daisy's getting kickbacks from her? Because we know on the show when they were doing the cash for gas, Daisy said that's enough. She has 300. But Candace is saying she got 460 and it was still coming in. I've seen the text. It's definitely from Candace because she can't even spell Daisy right. Makes me sick. I honestly don't know. I really don't know. And I'm not going to accuse Daisy of that. I know she was shitting her britches the other day. She was like, oh, that didn't happen. Who said that? And she came to me. Who said that? Who said that? And I'm like, you can look at my tab. The woman uses her name. She talks to Candace. You figure it out with your girlfriend. You get a hold of Candace and ask her why she's telling people this. Because she's done it before, Daisy. She said Cher was taking her money. She said she never got her skydiving money from Benny. She said Doug took her money. Ernie's still waiting on $36 for the pizza that he brought to her. She says all these people have ripped her off. No surprise. No surprise at all. I'm actually going to help her out. I am. Work with me here. These are jobs in Rogersville, Tennessee. She's back in Tennessee. Let's see what she can do. Big Lots needs store associates and stockers. Superdollar needs a cashier. General manager, Kmart Drive for the Domino's franchise. I don't really see her in a management position, but she'll steal some pizza. Walmart, count that out. Resident assistant, don't really want her around elderly people. Sales floor associate, now hiring minors, 16 and up for the Dollar Tree in Rogersville. Candace can do that. Food service worker, kitchen helper, dietary aid. I don't know if I'd want Candace in my food. General labor, there we go. Labor finders. They'll give you a job today. They'll give you a job today. They'll put you to work today, Candace. Why don't you call labor finders? You can pick up lumber. There's a lot of stuff you can do. Nanny for my children? F no. Housekeeper, not her forte. I'm giving vocational advice here, Candace. I know you're listening. Assistant store manager, Dollar General. She might be able to do this. Security full-time. I don't know about that. CVS, I'm not too safe with that one. Crew member at Sonic. There you go, Candace. Nope, she's not going to teach at Hawkins Elementary. Tractor Supply, merchandising sale associate, Candace. Machine operator. Now, this is something she can do through Latrell Staffing Group. $15 an hour, and she can do that. Here's another store team member. Now, I totally understand that she doesn't want to work, and let me tell you, there's many days that I'm like, I don't really feel like working. But you know what I do feel like? Food, air conditioning, Netflix, treats for OJ. Every Monday, my husband's like, oh, I wish I didn't have to go to work. But guess what? He likes these things too. It's a crazy thing. Talked to my son the other day, and he was like, oh, work is just kicking my ass. Well, you know what? He likes to be comfortable. He likes to take a vacation every year. Who's excited every day and says, I can't wait to go to work today. I would rather go to work than lay by the pool with a margarita. But they would rather do this. Scam. All right. Since Tim has decided to bring up the sound of freedom, which just about made me shit and fall back in it. Of course, Don brought up she could be in Mexico at one time. He said Joe Biden had her. I don't think Joe Biden has summer. Nope, I don't think so. This is a show. I'm going to play it from Kat's channel. Kat transcribed it. There's Candace. There's Can't. All right, this man named Jerry Preston from Cookeville, Tennessee. He is friends with Candace on several of her Facebook pages. Now, Michelle After Dark came across this. Doug from No Thanks came across it. Kat found it. We did a whole show about it because a lot of people think that the two women that are confronting him sound like Candace and Candace. Whether they are or not, I don't know. But I do know that Candace has been friends with this dirty individual on Facebook for quite some time. Listen to this. Wherever you want me to stop it, tell me.
So the other night I caught this clip on Doug's channel and I went to grab it from the original Facebook page where it was posted. It's a conversation between Candace, possibly Candace, and this guy, Jerry Preston.
Okay. It says he lives in Clark Range, Tennessee, but supposedly he's in Cooksville now. So a lot of people have thought this is Candace and Candace, and that, hello, Marisay, and that they could possibly be talking about summer. I don't know. That's for the authorities. I do know that Jerry Preston is friends with Can't on Facebook. Some people say it's not a big deal. How many of you are friends with sex traffickers on Facebook? I have a feeling none.
Jerry Preston. It's quite difficult to listen to the audio, but what I really wanted to do was to transcribe it so that we can try to figure out what is actually being said. I haven't at this point gone through and tried to analyze it. I just literally wanted to get the transcript together so that we can see what they're saying. And from there, maybe we can try to decipher what they're meaning. So I've done this in a few different ways. I've put the clip together. I put some subtitles on the first clip, and then I went back, slowed it down, put the subtitles again with the things that I heard in that reading that was different to this one. And then I put the third clip in, which is with the extra bits that I heard. So basically every time I listen to this video, I hear something new. And what I really wanted to do was get everyone's kind of input. And if you hear something, I mean, you're welcome to slow the video down or listen to it however you want. If you hear anything that I've missed on the subtitles, if you leave that in the comments for me, I'm going to try to...
Okay, she has it unlisted because of, well, people pummeled us. But this is Chat's Cat, Crime and Coffee. I think she goes by just Cat now. She took a break from YouTube for obvious reasons, but she spent a lot of time breaking down this audio. You'll see why.
When I've got a more complete transcript, I'll post the video again, and hopefully we'll be able to start to analyze and decipher what it is they're actually talking about in this video.
A lot better people than that. A lot better people than that, Baker.
What?
I know a lot better women than
No,
that.
you got what? You got little babies.
No, I don't have babies.
Yeah, you did. You do sex trafficking. You got to
No, I
report
don't.
on that.
I ain't never done sex
Yeah, you did. You started with my daughter. One of
No, I
them.
did not.
That's what you were doing the whole time. I didn't even really know.
No, boy. Bullshit.
What you were doing.
Took my
The only
money
one
last
that
night.
knew we were going to do sex trafficking. You got to
No, I
report
don't.
on that.
I ain't never done sex
Yeah.
trafficking. I know a lot better women than
No,
that.
you got what? You got little babies.
No, I don't have babies.
Yeah, you did. You do sex trafficking. You got to
No, I
report
don't.
on that.
I ain't never done sex
Yeah, you
trafficking.
did. You started with my daughter. One of
No, I
them.
did not.
That's what you were doing the whole time. I didn't even really know
No, bullshit.
what you were doing.
Took my
The only
money
one
last
that
night.
knew we were going to sheriff's on this
He took my
so
money
she
out of
wouldn't
the last
die
night.
was me and my mom.
$300-something dollars.
You were the only one in.
$300
And guess
something
what?
dollars.
You
I didn't do nothing.
You were telling
Hey, let me tell you
some
something.
praise.
You
Go on,
are
Mom,
a
you
piece
need to
of
go.
shit. See?
Jerry's lying, and he's
No.
fucking telling
Baker,
the
you're lying.
people.
You're lying.
Telling his people on the
You're
other
really
side.
crazy. Is
Yeah,
what you are.
right. ST boy.
You're really right.
Fucking nigger.
I hate you. Don't you better sit on else, I'm telling you.
You better get my
You
shit back there.
Nobody's got your
Give me
stuff.
my stuff out of my purse that you took.
I didn't take none out of your purse.
Okay, bitch.
I'm dead serious, Baker. I'm dead serious. A lot better people than that. A lot better people than that, Baker.
What?
I know a lot better women than
No,
that.
you got what? You got little babies.
No, I don't have babies.
Yeah, you did. You do sex trafficking. You got to
No, I
report on
don't. I
that.
ain't never done sex
Yeah, you
trafficking.
did. You started with my daughter. One of
No, I
them.
did not.
That's what you were doing the whole time. I didn't even really know
No, bullshit.
what you were doing.
Took my
The only
money
one
last
that
night.
knew we were going to sheriff's on this
He took my
so
money
she
out
wouldn't
of last
die
night.
was me and my mom.
$300-something dollars.
You were the only one in.
$300
And guess
something
what?
dollars.
You
I didn't do nothing.
You were telling
Hey, let me tell you
some
something.
praise.
You
Go on, Mom, you need to go.
See?
Jerry's lying, and he's
No.
fucking telling
Baker, you're lying.
people.
You're lying.
Okay, I'm muted. This video was brought up to Dawn. I don't know who it is. Hang on, I got to find this comment. Lisa K. Ruitt says, Brooks, that's not Candace. That's Jerry's girlfriend. I can look back and find her name if you want. I don't need her name. They were always fighting, but it's definitely not Candace. Candace was friends with him on Facebook. Asked in a private message who it was. He said, maybe it's Candace, maybe it's not. Asked about Jerry on panel. He's got a scary voice. Dawn said, I know Candace knows him, but I think just on Facebook. Okay, my point is, who would be friends with this dude on Facebook? Who? I don't care who's dating him.
What?
I know a lot better women than
No,
that.
you got what? You got little babies.
No, I don't have babies.
Yeah, you did. You do sex trafficking. You got
No,
a report on that.
I've never done sex
Yeah, you did. You started with my daughter.
No, I did not.
That's what you were doing the whole time. I didn't even really know
No, bullshit.
what you were doing.
Took
The
my
only
money
one
last
that
night.
knew we were going to sheriff's on this
You took my
so
money
she
out
would
of the
die
night.
was me and my mom.
$300.
You were the only one in.
$300.
Guess what?
I didn't do nothing
You were
to that. Let me tell you something.
praise. Your mom, you need to go.
See,
Jerry's lying and he's
No.
telling
Rachel, you're lying.
people.
You're lying.
Telling his people on
You're
the
really
side.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yes, you are.
right. ST boy.
You're mad.
Fucking nigga.
I hate you. Don't you better someone else, I'm telling you.
You better get your shit back there.
Everybody's got
Give
your
me
stuff.
like some other person you took.
I didn't take none of your purse.
Okay, bitch.
I'm dead serious, baby. I'm dead serious.
Ass nigga.
There's a lot better people than that. There's a lot better people than that, Baker.
What?
I know a lot better women than
No, you got what? You got little babies.
that. No, I don't have babies.
Yeah, you did. You do sex trafficking. You got a
No,
report on that.
I've never done sex.
Yeah, you did. You started with my daughter.
No, I did not.
That's what you were doing the whole time. I didn't even really know
No, bullshit.
what you were doing.
Took my
The only
money
one
last
that
night.
knew we were going to sheriff's on this
You took my
so
money
that she
out
would
of the
die
last night.
was me and my mom.
$300.
You were the only one in.
$300.
Guess what?
I didn't do
You
nothing
were
to
telling
that. Let me tell you something.
praise.
You
Your mom, you need to go.
See,
Jerry's lying and he's
No.
telling
Rachel, you're lying.
people.
You're lying.
Telling his people on
You're
the
really
side.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yes, you are.
right. ST boy.
You're mad.
Fucking nigga.
I hate you. Don't you better someone else, I'm telling you.
You better get your shit back there.
Everybody's got
Give
your
me
stuff.
like some other person you took.
I didn't take none of your purse.
Okay, bitch.
I'm dead serious, baby. I'm dead serious.
Thank you for watching my channel. Please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.
Oh, whoever the woman is, it curls my toes because you're not just going to go and bang into someone's 14 by 80 trailer in Tennessee and have this back and forth and him record it. And Candace is friends with Jerry Preston. Now, I've heard that he has passed away. I don't know. Not really going to spend too much time worrying about that. But it is creepy. Creepy. So for Dawn to admit that she knows him on Facebook, and for Jerry in private messages, not to me, I don't want to talk to old Jerry, to say, could be Candace. I don't know. I don't know, but we have too many nasty ass people. Too many. Too many. I think I said in June of 2021, I said, you're not going to find any heroes in this story. You're going to find people that want sympathy, trying to get sober, trying to do the best for my kids, trying to get them back from CPS, trying. They're always going to do something, these people are. But you're not going to find anybody who rises out of the ashes and does it. You're not. No. All right, we get to good old Dawn, who gave a very creepy interview to WVLT. And there's a couple of parts in this that make my face fall off. This is about the 2 year, we've been through it before, of Summer's vanishing, evaporation. Of course, we know the boys are in foster care. Hunter's in foster care. Many children that are in the Wells Circle are in foster care. And do you know what's very sad about all of these children? Is one day they're going to realize that they went to foster care and not one aunt, one grandmother, one older cousin, nobody tried to get them out. Candace's kids in Wisconsin, she just went to Arkansas and picked up another dude. Grandis, well, why didn't she do something about her grandkids in Wisconsin? Several of you in here have intervened and gotten your grandchildren sick. Andrew's sitting up in New York, not doing anything about Hunter in foster care. He's like, oh, it's because he's on probation. Because he's on probation. He can be on probation in Tennessee. What are you talking about? Sickening.
Wants to think about. Your child disappears for years. Good evening. Glad you're here. I'm Ted Hall.
I'm Brittany Tarwater. 2 years ago on this day, around this very time, investigators began their frantic search to find a missing 5-year-old girl in the rough terrain of the East Tennessee mountains.
A lot of questions still unanswered in this case. Tonight, our Kristen Allen, exclusive interview with Summer Wells' father, Don.
Have you seen this little girl? The search continues this evening for a missing 5-year-old girl from Hawkins County.
Summer Moon Utah Wells. She went missing around 7 o'clock last night.
Having to spend a second night alone, barefoot, in some of East Tennessee's toughest terrain.
The 5-year-old disappeared from her home in a remote area of Hawkins County 29 days ago.
Thousands of tips, yet no information in finding Summer Wells.
To this day, 6 months later, thousands of tips have come in, but still no sign of Summer Wells.
Today marks 1 year since 5-year-old Summer Wells went missing. The TBI says the case, including the Amber Alert, are still active.
The search for Summer Wells still continues.
The silence here on Ben Hill Road is almost deafening. It's been 2 years since Summer Wells disappeared.
It's deafening because at that time, the Wells were in Springdale, Arkansas, where there was a lot of noise going on.
The Wells property, once filled with police, search and rescue teams, and members of the Wells family, now sits quietly.
I'm Summer's dad.
Summer's father, Don Wells, says his home in Hawkins County was once filled with joy.
It was really pretty awesome. You know, I always look forward to coming home to the kids and having a good time with them. I worked all the time, but I always loved to come home.
I visited the Hawkins County site of Summer's disappearance and spoke with Wells on FaceTime. Though he is out of town this week, he's remembering the events of June 15th, 2021.
When I got home, and there was a couple of police cars there, so we was really scared to death, and we was just hoping, you know, for the first few days that she'd be found.
And that would be likely, but let's backtrack. He said that he got there before the police. But now he's telling WVLT that when he got there, there was a couple police cars there.
The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation activated an Amber Alert for 5-year-old Summer Wells on June 16th of 2021. In the following days, 19 agencies and hundreds of volunteers were called in to help in the search.
I want to encourage the public, especially residents living in the area of Ben Hill Road, to check any trail cameras or security cameras that they might have that could have captured Summer on video or in photographs.
Unreliable cell phone service and rocky terrain created hurdles for law enforcement and volunteers. For 10 days straight, hundreds of people combed the most remote parts of Hawkins County to no avail. Saturday, June 26th, it seemed like there was a break in the case. The TBI asked for the public's help finding a 1998 to 2000 red Toyota truck seen near Ben Hill Road around the time of Summer's disappearance. That truck's driver was never identified. And that was the last potential clue the TBI released to the public. So how could a 5-year-old girl vanish from this remote area? How did she just disappear? Conspiracy theorists around the world have drawn their own conclusions, but none of those have ever been proven. The TBI says there's no evidence Summer was ever abducted, but her father tells us he has a theory of his own.
I think that this is some kind of a professional situation that took her in with.
It's some kind of a professional situation, is what he said. Some kind of a professional situation. Now, it's funny. He's saying it's some kind of a professional situation, but his supporters are saying she could have just wandered off. But they said from the get, she would never wander off. She has to be abducted. It never made sense to me from the get why they honestly just believed that she had been abducted. And I am so glad that girl caught this. Who is we? We just got home and the police, there was 2 police cars. We need our troll spray. Let me tell you something. Don't ever let these people scare you from keeping the name of Summer Wells out there. Trev made this the other day, and I love it. Trev said, here's a list who can shut up Summer's army, and it's blank. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, Cat's sick. What's wrong, Cat? Let's go back a little bit.
Disappear. Conspiracy theorists around the world have drawn their own conclusions, but none of those have ever been proven. The TBI says there's no evidence Summer was ever abducted, but her father tells us he has a theory of his own.
I think that this is some kind of a professional situation that took her and was probably watching for a while.
His theories don't stop there.
I mean, she's obviously not in school anywhere, or there's no record of her anywhere. So she's either, in someone's basement, or she's deceased, or.
He brings up basement quite a bit. Quite a bit. He also brought up hammers, hotels, SA, being AR'd to death. But basement seems to be a very popular thought in his head.
We just don't know. We're in another country.
Or in another country. Or in another country, he says. Detective Pruitt, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, FBI card unit said there's no reason to believe she was trafficked out of the area. FBI card unit also said there's absolutely no sign of abduction. If you caught the show on Saturday about Madalena Kojikari, the FBI said they can't rule out trafficking. They've had sightings of Madalena. We need more traffic, not that type of traffic, for Madalena. I need more creators to talk about Madalena. We know the FBI set up digs at Fruitland. Brooke kisses Dawn on the lips. Ugh. No. No, I don't. Wouldn't. No. If the human race was about to die out and the only people that could procreate were me and Dawn, well, guess what? We'd be back to dinosaur time. No. The trolls just love it. Love it. So he said she's in another country.
I think it's fairly easy to get anything out of the country, in my opinion. It's not easy to get into the country, but it sure is easy to get out of the country.
2 years later, Wells says the only evidence he's aware of is that a police dog tracked Summer scent here to Ben Hill Road. He does believe somebody took her, but he doesn't know whether or not she's still alive.
Do you believe Summer's still alive?
I have no idea. I have no clue. If she is, I mean, I really don't know. There's no way of telling.
There are still very few clues.
He said there's no way of telling. I'd be calling the TBI every day. every day. I certainly wouldn't be getting crack and smack in North Little Rock and taking it back to the no-tell motel in Springdale and getting on YouTube acting all messed up. And these people that sympathize with that saying they just don't know how to handle it. Well, you handle it if she's around there somewhere by walking your own damn property.
Despite investigators working thousands of hours on this case, numerous search warrants, cell phone data analyzed, and other evidence collected, and not one sign of Summer. Wells says he spent hundreds of sleepless nights wondering where his little girl is. So I asked him,
Do you know what happened to Summer?
I don't know how you answer a question like that.
This is not edited. Do you know what happened to Summer? He said, I don't know how you answer a question like that. Very simply, I thought you were at work, Big Daddy. Do you know what happened to Summer? I don't know how you answer a question like that. You just say, no, I wish I did. Now, I know that another channel said the way he answered this is the way anybody would answer it because it's an offensive thing to be asked. Listen again. He doesn't look offended to me.
he spent hundreds of sleepless nights wondering where his little girl is. So I asked him,
Do you know what happened to Summer?
I don't know how you answer a question like that. I mean, I've had that question asked to me before. I mean, if I asked you that question, how would you answer?
She never knew Summer existed. If I asked you that question, how would you answer? Well, she would say, no. If I knew what happened, I would tell the authorities. I would tell the authorities. This is creepy, guys.
His little girl is. So I asked him,
Do you know what happened to Summer?
I don't know how you answer a question like that. I mean, I've had that question asked to me before. I mean, if I asked you that question, how would you answer?
The TBI says Summer's Amber Alert is still active and investigators continue to search to find her. In the meantime, this shrine to Summer sits at the entrance of her home. The TBI says it's questioned sex offenders who live in the area, neighbors, and Summer's own parents. Summer would now be 7 years old. If she still is alive, Dawn has this message for whoever took her.
The only thing I can say is please let her come home. Let her have her freedom and her life.
Let her have her freedom in her life. And again, Candace stays hidden and protected. I agree, vet girl. She said, we love the pronoun slips. Yes, we do. And the fact that Candace lays low while she did nothing to protect her grandchildren in Wisconsin, nothing to protect Summer. She said she just knew she was abducted. Well, you just gave her a peppermint. And now she's been abducted? You did nothing to prevent your grandsons from being removed. And when they were, you did nothing to get them out of state custody, which I'm happy about that because they need a new start. They need a new start in life. They definitely do. Here is the link to that interview with Dawn. I'm putting it in the chat. I'm going to put the link up if anybody wants to come up and chat. Kat is sick today, so put her in the get well. All right, now we go to what Dawn, again on WVLT, when again he tried to explain what happened to Summer. Now, he was asked at the 2-year and he said, how do you answer that? But he gave a very detailed interview with WVLT talking about the refrigerator, the mattress we are never going to forget. Who could forget that mattress? Good morning, Trevor. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
Good. I stole your meme and put it up.
I saw that. Hey, I mean, it's the truth, right? Nobody's gonna shut us up.
No, and there's several that would love for the people that advocate for Summer to just go away, get gone. They would love it.
Oh yeah, it'd make it a lot easier on people who don't want the truth out or don't want it to be talked about anymore.
Yeah. After the show I did for Summer's 2-year, the Glare did a whole show about me, made fun of the way I look, make fun of the way I talk, and all the women in there were cheering him on. It was called The Hens Go to Clucking, saying there's no evidence. Who the hell's going to give me evidence? I don't have a badge, but I can smell a rat.
Exactly. And see, people are going to rather take time to talk about other people than talk about the victims. That should discredit them at the front, no matter what they're talking about. Summer's more important than talking about any of us.
Disgusting. And I loved this meme, by the way. So as you remember, some of you may not, WVLT had a very, very detailed interview with Don that definitely had a lot of speculation. Yet when he spoke at the 2-year, he tripped up and said when he got there, there was 2 police cars. Before he said he got there before the police. She asked, what do you think happened? Do you know what happened? And he says, I don't know how to answer that. But he gave this interview.
Wells investigation. He hasn't done it yet until now. Her father is also showing us a path he claims, a little used path, he claims a kidnapper used to abduct his daughter and then disappear without a trace.
Now, I don't think that there's any reason to show you guys the video, but there are many videos of the boys on their motorcycles going up and down that dog trail that Don said he didn't know existed until Summer disappeared. I don't think so, Don.
Our Erica Lunsford walked that trail with Don Wells and sat face-to-face with Sheriff Ronnie Lawson in a WVLT exclusive interview.
Now 114 days after the little girl was reported missing. Erica, you've learned a lot. Tell us more.
That's right. Summer's father tells me he believes the trouble started at the basement door, a door he says her brothers often left unlocked and wide open.
And we'd get on them a lot, and so you can't do that, but it just, you know, we'd always find it open a lot of times and stuff. And so we tried to control that, but to know, you know, they couldn't control it 100% of the time.
Don Wells tells me Summer was...
Guess what? I can leave my door unlocked. I can take trash out to the trash can, get the mail, take a walk. And guess how many people have broken into my house and stolen my cat or my TV? 0. But Candace just happened to be 20 feet from the basement door planting flowers when the phantom abductor went into the basement that she said was locked, but Dawn said you can't control that. And they just happened to grab Summer. Seek Care RN said, Brooks and Trev, I'm so sick of hearing if they were guilty, the Wells would have been arrested by now. BS. That is BS. Do you know how many unsolved? And I agree with you, Seek Care. I'm sick of hearing it too.
It's such ridiculous logic because if you look at it, So they're saying that if the Wells haven't been arrested, so they couldn't have done it. Well, newsflash to them, nobody's been arrested. So at that point, nobody's done it, right? Because if nobody's been arrested by now, if it took 2 years for whoever did it, even if it's not the Wells to be arrested, that means they couldn't have done it if they made it 2 years, right? So nobody did it. That's what their logic says. I mean, it makes no sense.
Or they say, just wait for law enforcement to solve it. I am.
We are.
Don't think I'm going to solve it.
How many search warrants do you think I've carried out? 0. How many people do you think I've interviewed? 0.
Yeah, how are you doing on that warrant to get that CCTV from the Sonic?
Right, waiting on a judge to sign it. Like,
yeah. How about to search the house? You waiting on that judge to sign that too?
apparently so.
Yeah. Yeah. No, YouTubers aren't going to solve the crime. No. Crazy. At least this one's not. Can't say anything for Trev.
I'm not.
I do get tired of that because look at how many crimes Ashley Freeman and Laura Bible. That was a horrific crime in Welch, Oklahoma. It took 12, 13 years to get to the bottom of it. We're still waiting on prosecution for Kyron Horman. They're still looking for Kyron because the DA really doesn't want to do anything without a body. Some DAs will not touch it without a body. And
nope,
we don't.
that's why.
Go ahead, babe.
So I was just going to say, that's why I keep telling people it's so important that you keep talking, even just showing pictures, showing flyers, looking, because she's, if she's found, God forbid she's passed, but if she is and she's found, that makes a case right there. If you have a body, you have a case, regardless of who did it.
Well, we had a really good show yesterday about Quentin Simon. And I mentioned that Billy Joe had said, and they even brought it up in one of their filings, that she said on Cher's channel, in Georgia, if there's no body, there's no case. Now, I'm not a defense attorney. I'm sorry, a district attorney. But that district attorney wanted them to go through everything they could go through to try to find some piece of Quentin. Then she hit him with 19 indictments. I really think if they had Summer, then the DA would do something. I do know that there are district attorneys that will do a no-body case, but most won't.
Right, and it takes obviously it'll take a really strong case if you don't have a body to make, which is only going to make this longer. So I'm not saying they won't make one without a body, but it makes it harder, and you have to have a lot more to it because you don't have a body, because you're going to have to prove in court, because that's the whole thing. People want an arrest, but more importantly, you want a conviction. You can, as they say, you can indict a ham sandwich, but if you're not going to be able to convict someone, then what's the point?
Great point. There's a big difference between a conviction and an indictment. Big difference between we think they did it and getting a jury of your peers to say, yep, they did it. And this DA doesn't seem like he's equipped to do a circumstantial case. Okay, so when we had Gannon, okay, we know that DA, he's got big time political aspirations. He doesn't want to be in Colorado Springs. He wants to be in Denver. He wants to work with the Attorney General. He wants to be the Attorney General. So he was ready without Gannon's body to press forward on a circumstantial case. He was ready, and he had plenty of evidence from around the house. Leslie herself has said there's very little evidence to tell us what happened to her, what led up to it. But Dawn seems to have all the answers, and that's what irritates me to no end.
Last seen going to the basement to play with her toys. Her 3 older brothers upstairs, her mother and grandmother in the yard facing away from the basement door, and Dawn Wells at work.
We don't know if someone was waiting in the basement or if she come outside here and went to the swing. All we know is she went down the basement.
Wells says he believes someone was lurking at the top of a dog trail, just feet away from the basement door. He says the predator somehow managed to snatch Summer, then raced down the steep hill as she struggled.
I guess you guys want to walk down through here.
The trail was not an easy walk. To get down the rugged hill, Wells and I had to hold on to trees. struggled not to trip or even fall on tree roots.
And you can slide a little bit.
So the dogs kind of came down this trail here.
Yeah.
It's pretty steep.
Yeah. And I didn't know the dogs even had a trail down through here till the police dogs followed it all the way to the road.
Well,
what about your boys that went up and down it on a motorcycle? I saw Dawn in that video. And also, if you look at where the camper is, where I guess that was the hot spot of activity. Okay, there I believe is the Suburban that got sold to friend Kathy. The dog trail is by the camper.
And there were 2 adults standing outside.
So tell me how this happened. The dog trail is not too far from the camper. You would see an abductor come up, or you would see Summer walk out. Some people have said the boys saw her walk out. Okay, this was posted by Bianca Marius, WJHL. According to Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson, the TBI and FBI are conducting a joint investigation with the sheriff's office into the disappearance of 5-year-old Summer Wells, who, according to her siblings, just walked out the back door while they were playing and not really paying attention, the sheriff tells me. This statement that the boys made to the sheriff seems to be what I call power of suggestion. You know you guys saw her walk out. You know you weren't paying attention, just like we've told you to lock the doors. So that statement was made to the sheriff. But then Leslie says, thanks for reaching out. Summer was reportedly last seen at her home on June 15th. We are not aware of anyone reporting that they saw her walking along Ben Hill Road that day. Dawn said she was seen walking down the road.
says he overheard authorities say search dogs followed Summer's scent down the trail to the road before losing it. He painted a vivid picture of a kidnapping, telling me a neighbor likely heard Summer scream.
I think whoever grabbed her probably had her mouth covered, and I think she was gasping for air by the time she got down through here somewhere, because our neighbor heard a scream, a really funny scream.
Now we have to talk about the scream. As we know, Jody Sue is 10 pounds of shit stuffed in a 10-pound bag. She's full of it, okay? She's full of it. She said she heard a scream that was animalistic. Then her son says he heard a scream that wasn't animalistic. Don says he thinks that she was gasping for air.
See, that's what I don't like. It's like, you can, I mean, throw out whatever theory. We have our theories, he has his. But, like, why go into detail about something that there's no necessary evidence to? That she, not that you just say she was taken, but then he's throwing in she was gasping for air, and he throws in, like, she could be in a basement. And, I mean, what's the point in the unnecessary details about situations that we don't know?
Yeah. Well, Ronnie Lawson said the scream was unfounded. And I know that the people that were on their phones, they're like, well, you can't prove a scream anyway. Get real. They have digital evidence and everything like that. Where Jody Sue was supposedly standing, the data must not have added up, because we had a case here local to me not too long ago where they had a neighbor testify about a disturbance that she heard, and it corresponded with what they were talking about.
Right. And see, people don't realize law enforcement may have, we don't know, but they may have an idea of what happened and when, some sort of better time frame than what's out publicly. So, yet, no, you can't prove if a scream was heard or not. You can't tell me what I've heard in my ears. But if you have an idea that something happened at a certain time and this is being reported at a different time, then you may say it's unfounded because it doesn't line up with what you're investigating. I don't know if that's the case, but people need to keep that in mind too.
Absolutely. And Huda London, Mental Health and Crime, thank you for the super sticker, said Ronnie Lawson said that everyone is a suspect. Everyone is a person of interest. And as we know, they're not cooperating. They have attorneys. Thank you for becoming a new member, Chastity and Junior. So when people say, when are you going to leave the family alone? Look, I'm not bothering them. We're talking about Summer here. We're talking about the information we have, which is what is put out by them. When are they going to start cooperating? When is Candace going to give them the timeline they have been begging for 2 years? She said she would meet Doug and have lunch with him and tell him in person. That's not going to help anything. Doug, I mean, come on. That's not going to help anything. Doug from No Thanks. No, you need to get with one of the agents at TBI or Pruitt. Would you sit across the table from Candace and have her talk to you about the timeline?
No, I mean, I've got no reason to be told the timeline. I don't need to know. Go tell law enforcement.
Then we go to Don, who said the TBI told him to really, really work with her on the timeline. He goes, and we gave them a timeline and they said it seems to make sense. Yeah, I bet they did. I bet they were like, makes sense to me. Sure.
I think I just carried her to a vehicle and through.
All right. You see the driveway that goes all the way around the house. Of course, we see the school bus to the right, northeast of the house, the camper. All right. This is important because if somebody came up that dog trail and Candace and Grandis were by the camper, they would have seen that person come up the dog trail. If somebody drove up the driveway, from what I've been told by people who have been there, it's hard as hell to get up the driveway, and the only way to get out is to go around. Go ahead, Trev.
I was just going to say, if somebody came up, also were they silent? I mean, people make noise when you're walking through any kind of, especially not on like pavement. You're going to make some kind of noise or leave some kind of footprint. I mean, something. And there's just nothing unless law enforcement, as they've said, there's no evidence of an abduction. I'm sure if they had footprints of an adult up there, or the parent, they had heard someone, that would kind of lean towards abduction, but there's just nothing.
And don't forget, Candace said that she looked under the mattress, which, by the way, was laying on a cement floor under the blankets. And she said, it just smothers me.
Her in there and took her somewhere far away from here.
Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson has not publicly commented on specifics of the case until now. I asked Sheriff Lawson about Wells' claims. Did dogs follow Summer's scent down the trail to the main road? The sheriff says yes.
The dogs had a pretty good trail, a track for a little while, but then it disappeared. But they lost scent when they come to the road. And sometimes canines, they will lose the scent when it changes different type, where they maybe went from the gravel to the pavement.
And did a neighbor hear a scream?
Best I recall, it's been a couple months ago. I think that was unfounded.
Wells tells.
Best as I recall, that was unfounded. Meaning Jody Sue made it up. Now, I want to know what it's going to take for the powers that be in Hawkins County to do like Sullivan County, Tennessee, and many other counties in Tennessee that don't like their leg being pulled. Okay? They don't like their leg being pulled. So when you waste their time and their resources, you get charged for lying to the police. Jody Sue needs it. Possibly her son. Jody Sue for sure.
I want to say real quick about the dogs. That's not necessarily always the case. I spoke because I was curious about that too, and I spoke with someone who does searches all across the country, out of the country, does big time searches with all different kind of dogs, and depending on the type of dog you have, they've even been able to tell which direction a car went on the pavement. She had a time where a person was put into a car and the dog went the direction that the car went. So they don't always necessarily lose their trail just because it hits the pavement. So there could have been, I mean, I don't know how strong the scent was. I don't know anything about the scents they picked up, but that's not always the case.
It's not always the case, and we've heard it in other cases. Oakley Carlson is one. Cody Bigsby is one. Michael Vaughn is one, where the dogs lose the scent. Just like polygraphs are a tool. Do you hear very often when we watch these trials where the dogs solve it? No, it's a tool. It's investigative. You never hear about polygraphs, and for some reason, people are real hung up on those, and I'll never understand that. I could give a rat's ass about a polygraph.
Oh yeah, there's just so many factors that play into a polygraph. I mean, if you talk about substances, that'll mess it up. If you're just a good liar, or you can stay calm through your lies, then you can. I mean, there's just so many factors that go into it. There's a reason that we don't put them in court.
Well, and some people have zero remorse. Look at Ted Bundy. He represented himself in court. He was wooing the jurors. They were loving it. And nobody even has to take one. Look at Russ Faria. He took one and he failed it. Well, guess how the evidence came out? He didn't do it. It was Pam. Look at Elizabeth Smart's uncle. He failed one. He was nowhere around. He was nowhere around. And we know what happened to her. And there's many others. And then there's people that pass them. And it turns out later that they did it.
Tells me the family home on Ben Hill Road is surrounded by drug dealers and buyers.
You get all kinds, with the drug trade, and we've seen quite a bit of stuff surrounding the meth thing. We had parked our neighbors caught them parked at our road in our driveway in the middle of the night or early in the morning and stuff like that, and run them off, and they get mad and they raise Cain, and we've had quite a bit of problems.
But Sheriff Lawson tells me Wells lives on a quiet street.
I've heard rumors of, there is maybe a drug dealer on that road, but it's just like anywhere. Ben Hill Road is no different than any other roads in Hawkins, Sullivan, or any other county, as far as even Knox County. We all have drug problems, but no, that's not that problem. That's not.
I think what he's saying here is it's no drug deal gone bad. It's no crazy meth dealer that decided to get into kidnapping children. He said, no, it's not that problem. He already knows there's a problem out there because, well, they got Fred. They got his girlfriend. If I was Jody and Andy, not that they're together, I'd be sweating bullets. What do you think he meant, Trev?
Oh yeah, and I think that's a better interpretation of it. It's just funny kind of the way he said it, because we know there's definitely a drug problem up there. I mean, we've got like haircut of the year in jail right now for that very thing. I mean, having a dwelling where drugs were sold. So clearly there is a drug problem up there, but it would make more sense that he's kind of alluding to the fact that it doesn't seem like somewhere where there's like huge drug deals going down where that could endanger a child.
Well, and what's so weird is, and I mean, everyone has an opinion and I get it, but look at the case of Oakley Snow. All right. Her mother's boyfriend killed her. The mother was high on fent. Okay. Can't say the word totally. They went and hid her in a dresser drawer. She had a younger baby, about 7 months old, and took him to the drug dealer, okay, that they'd been getting the fent from. He's a freaking drug dealer, and he called the police. Good old America. He called the police and they called Child Protective Services and said, go get that baby. Drug dealers don't want to take, they don't want the babies. There's a difference between a drug dealer and a pedo.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it takes two different levels of people to commit different crimes. You're not just going to do every single crime because you're a criminal. You could be a white collar criminal and never even in your mind think about kidnapping a child, or you could sell drugs but never once goes across your mind to take children. Can you do both? Yes, but one doesn't lump you into another.
A lot of pedos don't use any substances. They have a different way of getting their endorphins going. Okay. There was actually a defense. A guy who R'd a girl, and his defense attorney said, but he didn't murder her. He doesn't have it in him to murder her, because part of it was attempted murder because, well, the R was so bad. And I'm like, this cannot be your defense, dude. Look, all I did was R. It's not like I murdered her. Goodness.
Not correct either.
It's not like a hot spot.
No, it's not a hot spot. And it's a dead end road, so there's very little traffic, if any.
Don Well says he doesn't know.
Now, I hate to defend Lawson, but in this one I have to. Because if he says that dead end road is a hot spot for drugs, guess what's going to happen on that road?
Oh yeah, it'll become if it's not already one, it'll people will come looking. I mean, people that want will come searching.
They're like, oh, thanks, Sheriff. That's where we get the shit now?
You mean I don't have to drive all the way to the other side of town? I can go right to Pitt. Okay.
Damn, I was getting tired. I mean, gas is expensive. I was getting tired of going to my other spot. I can get it right out there. So, yeah, I get it. I get him saying that. It would have looked like Rocklahoma in Pryor, Oklahoma on Memorial Weekend.
But isn't shocked by the disappearance of a child.
There's a lot of missing children.
But Sheriff Lawson says children don't just go missing, especially in Hawkins County.
No, ma'am, we don't have any other missing children.
At Summer's Hilltop home, Wells showed me a refrigerator he says Summer played on.
I don't know what all she did. But what in the world is that?
Listen. When you have an appliance in your house that no longer works, you can actually get a screwdriver or something. Say it's your oven. And you can take the door off the oven. There's places that'll come pick it up. They'll go fix it and they'll resell it. You can take it to the dump, but you have to get the doors off of it. Thank you for the super sticker. Don said he will meet her in the resurrection. What happened between 2:30 to 5:30? Dotson said that the boys told him the back door was locked. She told Dotson that she took all 4 kids swimming. This has always perplexed me as well. Can you weigh in on this, Trevor?
Yeah, that's something that I suggest, whether people are new to the case or been since the beginning, is go back to those early interviews. I know some of them have been taken down, but the ones where Dotson, who was there that day, who showed up and heard directly from the family that day, spoke about it, and things have changed. I mean, I think he even mentioned that the dogs went to the driveway, which of course then was shifted to the dog trail, and different things that and the door being locked or unlocked. But there's some interesting pieces of information there that seem like they came very early on compared to information we get now that's been possibly concocted over 2 years.
Concocted, yeah. I mean, it's really no one's fault because, I don't know if you ever played the gossip game in school where they put everybody in a circle and one person starts, and by the time it gets to the end, it's changed. That happens. Things get lost in translation. But if you go back to the beginning, Candace is changing stories. She was doing dishes and turned around and Summer was gone. She was pouring her a bowl of cereal and she just walked out the door. Then we hear about planting flowers. Then she tells not only David Dobson, but she tells Robin that she had been swimming with all the kids all day. We know she only had summer. We know she only had summer.
And we walked to Summer's swing.
This is her favorite.
That's her favorite. Yeah, she liked to twirl.
Don Wells is pleading for his daughter's return.
Whoever has her will have mercy, and please let her come home.
Sheriff Lawson says investigators remain committed to finding Summer.
Everyone in Summer's case is still a suspect.
Don.
Everyone in Summer's case is still a suspect. Everyone in Summer's case is still a suspect. Now, if he doesn't alphabetize the list for you, you've got a handful of people, and there's really not that many of them. I shouldn't be so dramatic that say, well, they didn't specifically say Don, Candace, and Candace.
Sure didn't say not.
Yet you have the chief of police in Fruitland that specifically said Monkey's family is not a focus of the investigation. And they're like, well, but he didn't say they're cleared.
Do you think he'd be standing beside them at the press conference if he was worried he'd have to slap cuffs on him? No.
God, I don't get it. I don't get it. All right, it's time to get to Sound of Freedom. You know, Tim's favorite thing to say about Don and Candace, he doesn't really mention Candace too much, is that they are an Amber Alert family. Well, yes, they are. I think he's got it confused with Gold Star family, but it's his term.
Yeah.
Trevor made this. How Tim feels when he says Amber Alert family. You guys can soak that in for a second. Yep. Here's Tim. The meandering of criticism against the Wells is such old news that its useless Borgism only propagates. Somebody got him a thesaurus for Christmas, I see.
Meandering.
Meandering. That should be the word of the day. Scam seemed better. Meandering. Only propagates the intense character weakness of the individuals who thrive on it. Nothing fun about this for me. I'd love the day when I can come on here and say, guess what? All's good in the hood. All the kids are taken care of. There's no kids missing. They're all going to school. They love their parents. I'd love it. But he says, do something valuable and go watch the new movie, Sound of Freedom. And then maybe you'll grasp a fraction of what Amber Alert families battle daily in their minds, hearts, and stomachs. Do something useful. Discuss, share, and encourage others to watch this movie of the growing epidemic. Human trafficking is slavery. This includes 5-year-olds. It cuts off, but he said it's bigger than just Summer Wells. Now, why is he saying that Summer Wells was trafficked now when a couple of years ago, he said she wandered off to go pet a horse and he made a video on their property with a stick as he was going through the leaves and everything, saying that he was looking for Summer. It's not the only creepy thing he's ever done. See, he's a purity liar too. Because Don himself told me that he's known Tim for years. Years. He said they go way back. Those were his exact words. According to Tim, he met Don at a prayer vigil. Look at this.
With her family, she was going to take a break from everything. I do remember that. Her husband was really helping her there, and it's like, shut it all down. No Facebook, no news media, no YouTube. Just the beach with the family. Very healthy. Came at a good time. So I went to the second prayer vigil. Once again, I was promoting 2 or 3 reasons always. One was promoting the vigil on the news site. I make that clear too. People don't understand, why does he take pictures? I'm taking pictures because I do a news site. It's a Kingsport free media, only Kingsport news of every kind, every event, everything. And so that's, I'm always taking pictures. I'm always at events. And so that's what I mean by the news site. You can go to kingsport.me, ME for media, or find it on Facebook or Instagram. Or
Woo, he's so connected. Candace said that Don has known Tim for a long time and thinks he's a big nerd.
He's a meteor manager.
She said, I didn't ask for a meteor manager. Makes you wonder who wrote the script. I've always said Grandis, but I could be swayed that it could possibly be Tim. Listen to Candace.
But I'm letting you know how I feel about the whole script.
Right.
If she had said that to me, I'd have been like, what do you mean the script? I wouldn't have said, right. I'm letting you know how I feel about the whole script. And I don't know about you guys, I wouldn't want the meteor manager at the Fun Fest, church, or anywhere else taking pictures of my children and putting them on his news site. Trevor, I understand you're not a father yet. I know you're going to make a great one. What would you do if Tim was taking pictures of your kids on the playground?
Well, first off, I appreciate that. And secondly, I would have a nice conversation with this person and maybe end up calling the police.
Oh, my husband would pull a damn Alec Baldwin and break his damn camera.
That as well.
And he'd probably wind up in jail, and that's okay. He'd be furious.
Twitter, or not at all if you're not interested in Kingsport. So, hope that clarified that. So, maybe get pictures. Maybe, possibly, meet Don if he was there. Because I really wanted to let him know I'm that guy that you have never met that's doing the site for you, that you're sending things to.
I'm that guy that you've never met. There is a picture of Tim and Dawn from 2008. Lone Wolf is trying to find it for me because I can't find it, but he sent it to me a long time ago. I'm this guy that's running your news site that you've never met, that you keep sending stuff to. Wouldn't you want to meet the person that's your manager for your missing child? Who needs their missing child managed? So that's a lie. I hope to meet Don Wells if he was there. Don has known Tim for years.
You know, and respectful. And then naturally the third was the praying. The key component of all this are those that have been praying. Because one thing about it, God knows exactly what happened. And he's very he doesn't get confused. And he has reason and order. And when he has people that believe him that way, then he can do things. People that don't believe that way, it stagnates him. The people that know that God is real, and that Jesus Christ loves to do this. It's what God loves. It's what he loves to do. But we're the impatient ones, but he's very patient. And so this group of people is another unique piece to me, that they were gathering to do this. I mean, that was pretty amazing. And hardly anybody there knew her at all. It wasn't like the church people. It was people from all different places that were coming in with a heart, a desire to pray and help. There's really no greater help. It takes the prayers for the other people with the other skills, like the police, to open the doors, open the cracks, let them observe that, and the timing of how these things work out. But that's a whole different thing, because faith isn't logical.
What is he talking about, the timing of how these things work out? Because I don't think he's talking about the prayer vigil. You tell everybody, you tell all 5 of them, show up at 6 o'clock, we're having a vigil. What's the timing that Tim's talking about, and how faith is not logical?
I don't know, but it's very weird. I mean, like, he's just, I don't know what he's rambling on about, but it's just, no, I don't like it.
Gives me the heebie-jeebies.
It's so easy to say, well, if God knows, why don't he just tell? That's a whole different thing. God is a trillion zillion miles past even how our little brains can think. So I got there and I took a shot, but I didn't see Don. And I didn't realize I'd just taken a picture of Don. He was in the picture I had taken. And so I joined and kind of did the same thing that at the other vigil. I stood, but then it was just like, he was standing there just by himself. I thought, okay, maybe I have too much compassion, but.
You took a picture of Don but didn't meet Don, and you already know Don? Just like when he said, just like he acted like he was coming across Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis. He's like, it's the mother. It's the mother. He already knew Candace.
He talks like he's like one of those people on like the National Geographic. In here, we have a mother in her natural habitat walking down with a poster.
Yes. And here we have the mother.
And she's approaching with a flag with her daughter's face on it. We're going to get this on camera, guys.
I wasn't expecting to see the mother. Oh, it's the mother. I'm like, you know the bitch. Just like this. He knows Don.
I went over and stood beside him. Shouldn't have to stand all by himself. But I stood by him, and once again, I didn't know the atmosphere that would come from Don. When it's 2 dudes, you're a little more distance. Us guys, we don't tend to be as, our space is sometimes quite a bit bigger. So I was being respectful of that. And so neat having this green belt. And
a green belt, like karate? Good having this green belt. What, do you have no ass, or are you in karate, Tim? Does your mom take you to karate, Tim?
He's just saying words at this point.
It was like Candace. There was not evil around him. He was just who he was. He was a man, shattered, you could tell. There, but uncomfortable to be there. I could tell he was, this wasn't really the things that he was as comfortable with. But he was trying.
I want to thank y'all, and I just pray. I hope y'all keep us in our prayers because I'm really under attack right now, big time.
We meet weekly, so.
I mean, I feel like Satan took my baby.
I feel like Satan took my baby, but I'm under attack by Satan. He's under attack by Satan, but he feels Satan took his baby. I don't think it was Satan because Dawn told Brian Inton that Candace probably made the wrong friends. Listen to this again.
This is sometimes quite a bit bigger. So I was being respectful of that. And so neat having this green belt. And it was like Candace. There was not evil around him. He was just who he was. He was a man, shattered, you could tell. There, but uncomfortable to be there. I could tell he was, this wasn't really the things that he was as comfortable with. But he was trying.
I want to thank y'all, and I just pray. I hope y'all keep us in our prayers because I'm really under attack right now, big time.
We meet weekly, so.
I mean, I feel like Satan took my baby. I feel like I was getting close. Satan owned me years ago, and since I've turned my heart to God and been trying to change my life, it's like Satan's had me under attack.
Amen.
In so many ways. And now I believe he's got my baby. Of course, he's responsible for all evilness. So of course, it's him. And I feel totally lost without my daughter. She loved me unconditionally. She loved me more than nobody has loved me like my daughter has, except for God himself. And so I'm really lost.
That's a mighty task. Nobody has loved me unconditionally in the way my daughter has, except for God himself. He always loves to tell everyone how Summer loved him so much.
And now all these people are attacking, and I don't understand that. In our deepest, darkest moment, everybody, not everybody, but people are attacking us, and it's real tough. So I thank you for your prayers and everything, and I just pray that God will bring Summer back, because that would answer a lot of questions. That would help us. I mean, I feel like I'm on the edge of ruin right now because of the things people are saying. But anyways, I don't know.
He said, I feel like I'm at the edge of ruin because of what people are saying. It's not about what people are saying. Why would you be on the edge of ruin? Because I don't think he's worried about the kids. We know. He already said that the boys, they have Dr. Lawyer money now and they can play basketball. But he's on the edge of ruin. What do you make of that, Trev?
It's just so odd. And I mean, not saying that people should, harass, go after the parents, whatever. But at the same time, as a parent of a missing child, you'd think you'd be more concerned with people praying for and thinking about your child, less about yourself. You're okay. I mean, you're going through, if she was taken and you're innocent, you're going through something terrible, but you're more worried about your child, or you should be. So why not say, people are saying whatever about us, we'll get over that. Please help us find our daughter. Pray for our daughter. She's the one who's missing. This whole Amber Alert family thing gives off this idea that they're all the ones that are victims. And Summer's the only victim here, no matter what happened to her. She's the one that's missing. And that should be the focus of the prayers, of the conversation, of the discussion.
100%. 100%. Angie said, Squall, that's what Brooks was told. Oh, hang on. Squall Tit says, why are you telling lies? Candace is not staying with me, nor are there any plans for her to stay with me. I don't talk to Candace, Squall Tit. She was in another chat and said she was going to stay with you. But you've cleared it up, and now we know. She needs to get a hold of the TBI, I guess. They're still waiting on her timeline. I didn't make it up. I don't talk to Candace. Candace has had a lot to say this week, Squall Tit. She said that she gave a cut of her money to Daisy. She's been a busy beaver.
Thank you.
Just ignore it. That's what I had to do.
Yeah.
I have to obey God. So, yeah. But even though people are coming against you, bad things are being said about you, you don't have to worry about any of that because you know the truth. God knows the truth.
Right.
You are the day of judgment when you stand before Jesus. None of these people that are saying whatever they're saying are going to be standing there holding your hand saying, no, it wasn't him, it was me. It's not going to happen like that. So don't. And I know it's easier said than done because it hurts.
Yeah, it is.
But just remember, the only one that you need to please is Jesus.
Amen.
The answer to is Jesus.
Right. Okay, I get where she's coming from. The only one you need to answer to is Jesus. No. And Jesus wouldn't agree with that because you have to comply with the authorities on this earth. D. Lucky said, well said, Trev. Didn't Candace say it's not about Summer? She did. She did. Not only that, a few weeks ago, Kant said, we're not discussing Summer. This is about PG and being so evil to everyone. She don't have time to discuss Summer. She wants to talk about a YouTube creator. That's all she wants to talk about. We're not discussing Summer. Well, why would you discuss Summer who's missing and you want back so bad? Squall Tit said, I haven't spoken to Candace in weeks. Is this the same as everyone going around alleging Candace said Summer is in heaven? Well, you know, when certain creators are quoting their chat, they need to make it clear who it's from because it was interpreted that Summer is in heaven came from Candace and it just ran like wildfire. So no, but that was not the same chat, not the same person. Now listen to Don. He's like, right.
And it's hard to see that.
It's easier said than
right,
done.
absolutely.
Because the closer you get to God, the more the devil's going to try to attack you.
I appreciate that. I do.
But I just had to wait and just tell you, just keep the faith, keep praying, keep going forward.
Stay on track.
Yeah, and every time something upsets you, with whether it has to do with someone or anything in your life, hold on a minute. I belong to God and just say, Lord, help me, devil, get behind me.
Yeah, it's become everything but something. But anyway, I thought your sign language was a beautiful thing.
Oh, praise the Lord. Thank you. Praise the Lord. There was a message in that. And I hope everybody received the message in that. But definitely keep going forward, keep moving forward. Try not to let what other people say, regardless of what it is, get to you because it's the enemy doing this.
I know.
And the closer you get to God, the more the enemy's going to try to come against you. But when you're a child of God, you can just say, devil, get behind me.
Yes, that's right.
I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. And then start talking to God.
I thought I was really strong at one point, but this has been
the hardest.
Yeah, it's been real tough. Satan's trying to push me in every way.
He's real good at that, unfortunately, but God is greater and God is bigger and God is stronger. Just remember that.
Okay, now I have to obey God. I feel like we should gather around you and pray. If that's okay?
Yeah, Yeah.
Why don't we get?
I could use all the help I can get. That's for sure.
Why don't we
Here's
get
another
the
time.
family and let's just pray for them. I'm just saying. Okay.
Believe me, I lose it all the time. Dude. Thank you so much.
And the devil's trying to attack anyway, but God is in control of this. Whether we don't see it or not, there's a song I've been singing called Waymaker, and that's just a powerful song. Even when we don't see it, He's moving.
Yes.
Even when we don't feel it, He's moving.
That's right.
And I just pray that you guys just worship God with all your heart, your soul, and mind. In Jesus' name. Okay.
Yes. You want to start us off there?
Yeah, I can start.
Just start a circle somewhere, guys. Jump in somewhere.
Dear God, I thank you again for this day, Father God. I pray, Father God, in the name of Jesus, that you be with this family, Father God, Lord. Lord, Father God, I don't know what they're going through, Father God, Lord. Just give them peace, Father God, in the name of Jesus, Father God, Lord. In Jesus' name, Father God, Lord.
God, circles. These circles all about Lord.
Yes.
That's what these circles are about.
Yes.
Come together in one accord. Come together in one accord. 2 or 3 are gathered.
Yes.
You are awesome. Yes.
Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are.
Mother. Yep. Nobody's place to come at you as a mother. We care about you or we wouldn't be here today. And that's why we're all here. Exactly what she said. We want to.
Unfortunately, we have to meet some private detectives, etc.
Okay.
So we don't want to leave out on y'all. We want to stay here.
We don't want to leave out on y'all, but we have to go meet with private detectives. We don't mean to leave you guys with the flowers and the free brownies that have no pot in them. Thanks for the teddy bear, but we've got a ton of private investigators lined up that we have to meet with. No, they went home and pranked Mary. We got to get home. We got to meet with this team of private investigators. They got drunk and pranked Mary. It used to be a weekly ritual, always on a Tuesday, which happens to be the day that Summer went missing was on a Tuesday. We got to go home and meet with all those private investigators. Where are they at, boy? Listen to this.
Worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are.
Mother. Yep. Nobody's place to come at you as a mother. We care about you or we wouldn't be here today. And that's why we're all here.
Yes.
Exactly what she said. We want to.
Unfortunately, we have to meet some private detectives, etc.
Okay.
So we don't want to leave out on y'all. We want to stay here and be with y'all. We
I know.
really do.
Candace has. But you guys do what you need to do. Yes. Do what you need to do. Definitely. Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Even if you're not here, we're still going to be with you in spirit. So we'll be with you.
No, go do what you have to do.
And just like I was telling you, and just like she's telling you.
And there's Tim getting him out of there. Time to go. Time to go. Tim's gone on his mom jeans, and he's like, time to go. We got private investigators. Come on.
Yeah, you can't listen.
Yep. Don't you let nobody bring you. Hold on to that hope. Yep.
Nobody's walked in your shoes to have the right to say what you have done, not done, or how you're feeling. Nobody's walked in your shoes but you and Jesus.
That's right.
And I know, like I told your husband, easier said than done. But just stand strong.
Tell you that I love you. Okay. That's right.
We all love you. We all love you.
Importantly, Jesus loves you. And if we didn't love you, we wouldn't be here every week. So exactly.
Yes.
Yep.
If
If you need prayer, you can always come on my Facebook page, or our Facebook page, T-Minus Glory. You can message us, and we'll be glad to pray with you. Okay. That's the name of my page. Okay. We'll be glad to pray with you. Oh, yes. Definitely.
And he was so cordial, extremely cordial to everybody. And then the lady, lady arrived, and had brought a cake, teddy bear, presented it to him. She'd driven from somewhere. I don't think it was nearby. So I was photographing that because that was just one of those perfect moments of kindness. And his kindness back to her and his respectfulness that he had. He wasn't hard, he wasn't crusty. He was extremely respectful. Manners. He was a gentleman. So yeah, I was taking pictures of that, and I've already posted about that on the media manager Facebook. To get the shot, and that was just a really nice one.
Breathtaking, Tim. Breathtaking. Breathtaking. Let's go back to what Tim said. Sound of Freedom. Do something valuable and go watch the new movie Sound of Freedom, and then maybe you'll grasp a fraction of what Amber Alert families battle daily in their minds, hearts, and stomachs. Do something useful. Discuss, share, and encourage others to watch this movie of the growing epidemic. Human trafficking is slavery. It's a little more than that, Tim. This includes 5-year-olds. It's bigger than just Summer Wells. What's the word of the day?
What's today's secret word?
Ooh, interesting question. Let's go and ask Cocky.
Scam. Scam. Candace is scamming people out of money. She texted a person after her cash grab on the other channel, not my other channel, and then was texting saying, I need money for cigarettes. Just like the scam from before where she played coin pusher and then bitched that she didn't have money for dog food. Then we have Robin B. It's that time again. June is around the corner. I need a little help. Please and thank you in advance. She puts her Cash App in. That night on Daisy's channel, she alerts Candace at Candace. When I can, I'll give you some more money, but I'm getting my stuff around to go to Michigan in June. You don't take money from other people to give to Candace Wells. I already gave her vocational advice. Hawkins County is hiring. Candace can go work there, $16.38 per hour. Full-time with benefits.
There you go.
And if Tim keeps wanting to talk about the Amber Alert family, tell me why Candace and Candace were at the water park on June 18th with big shit-eating grins on their faces after Summer went missing.
But it took 13 days to go on camera.
Tell me why. Tell me why they would do that. Crystal said, I need another shower after this.
You know, here's something that we can add to the Amber Alert family thing. So, AmberAlert.gov does statistics on most common abductors in Amber Alerts. And I may be old school, but I like to follow the stats and the evidence that law enforcement gives. And according to this, most common abductors, okay, so 43% of cases, the father is the perpetrator, and nearly a quarter of cases, the mother's the kidnapper. And then we look around 0.1% involve strangers or slight acquaintances.
When did those stats come out?
This looks like the last stats by AmberAlert.gov. Let's see.
Okay, AmberAlert.gov. Okay, so the father, and that usually could be from parental alienation. You know, mom's saying you can't see the child, because missing and exploited is saying 90% of children, and I'm not saying Summer has been killed, they're killed by their mother. It is disgusting.
Over 450 kids per year are killed by their parents.
Disgusting. Thank you, Chloe Jade, for the super sticker. Thank you. Thank you. Palm says, I don't watch Bash for Cash channels. Nope, you're not going to get that here. All right. Well, so since Tim is saying that he's honing in on Sound of Freedom, let's take a look at the real person, Tim Ballard. The real person, Tim Ballard, who has rescued thousands of people, not just children. And what he says here makes so much sense. We have talked about it on this channel before. These pedos salivate at anyone that says this isn't really a problem. Well, it is, but I have a feeling it's not a problem for the Wells family. They got big problems, don't get me wrong, but I don't think that Summer has been trafficked to any foreign country because according to Pruitt, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, FBI, and FBI card unit, they said there's no reason to believe she's been trafficked.
Fourth, the #1 movie in America wasn't Indiana Jones. Disney spent $300 million resurrecting Harrison Ford and releasing the summer blockbuster. But there's another movie dominating the box office. It's called The Sound of Freedom, and it beat Indiana Jones on opening day. The film's based off the true story of Tim Ballard, a former Homeland Security special agent who saved kids from an international sex trafficking ring.
It is the fastest growing international crime network that the world has ever seen.
For Homeland Security, we can't go off rescuing Honduran kids in Colombia.
This job tears you to pieces. And this is my one chance to put those pieces back together.
So you quit your job and you go and rescue those kids.
This movie zeroes in on the multi-billion-dollar human trafficking industry and honors a hero, someone who saved children from sex slavery.
And he did. It's a true story. It's a true story. He has a foundation that he runs and people put money into it where he can continue his journey. Rhonda Lynn said, Candace tried to get a job and nobody will hire her because of the reputation YouTube has given her. She can't go to the store without people snickering at her and asking where Summer is. Well, if Terry Horman has a job and Dee Dee Spiker has a job, Brandy and Tyler are given hell every day on YouTube. They both work. Elizabeth Smart's father, who people said probably trafficked her through the Mormon church, went to work. Where did she try to get a job? Because Candace, the narcissist, Rhonda, not calling you one, she's not as hot shit as she thinks. She's not as famous as she thinks. Trust me, she's not.
But to the media, this person isn't a hero. Someone who rescues kids from pedophiles is a villain.
These films are created out of moral panics. They're created out of bogus statistics. They're created out of fear. And with something like Sound of Freedom, it specifically is looking at QAnon concepts of these child trafficking rings that are run by the high-level elites.
For some reason, the entire media is smearing this movie as a dangerous conspiracy theory. The press is saying that the star, Jim Caviezel, is a QAnon guy. And Jim plays Tim Ballard, which is strange because just a few years ago, the same media was celebrating Tim Ballard's heroics. Watch.
Tim Ballard has one mission: to track down child traffickers. 4 months ago, Colombian authorities asked him to investigate a tip that children were being sold there as sex slaves.
Within a half hour, this individual walks up to me, starts asking me what I'm here for, what I want, and within minutes, he says, well, I've got kids as young as 11 years old.
So why is the media warning people not to see a movie about child sex trafficking that's based on a true story? Well, the Spear Fund founder Tim Ballard joins me now. So, Tim, why is the media hating this movie?
You know, I can't understand it. The film was made, produced, written like 5 years, 6 years ago, way before anyone heard the name QAnon. I still don't even know what QAnon is. In the meantime, they're trying to connect it to some conspiracy when, in fact, like you said, this is a true story. These are real kids. I mean, these kids are my friends. They're young adults now, the ones that were rescued. They're going to come out soon and tell their story. It's going to be very awkward when the mainstream media comes after these kids next and accuses them of being part of some conspiracy when, in fact, they were rescued from a life of rape. It's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in the media, perhaps.
I mean, this publication says The Sound of Freedom is a superhero movie for dads with brain worms, and that it fetishizes the torture of its child victims. Is that what the movie does?
It absolutely does not do that. It tells a story based in truth. And, you know, what I think is happening, Jesse, I think that the left and these media outlets, they don't want to have a discussion that this film is going to compel. A discussion about why 85,000 children showed up unaccompanied at the border and got released into the interior of a country that is the highest consuming country for child exploitation material on the planet. They don't want to talk about why these same publications are pushing an agenda to change the word pedophile to minor attracted persons in order to normalize sexual activity with children. I think that's what they're trying to avoid. And they know this film's going to shine a light on all of the things, all the atrocities happening to children. And so they have to discredit it by lying about it.
So what would their motivation be to discredit a movie that's trying to shine a spotlight onto atrocities committed against children?
Well, if the truth of human trafficking and child exploitation were to be brought to bear, brought to light, then they would have to have a debate, a discussion that they don't want to have about, again, these policies around sexualizing children or allowing children to consent at a young age to do anything and everything, which would eventually include being, you know, identifying as an adult perhaps and having sex with pedophiles. I hunt pedophiles. I've been hunting them for 20 years, and they are watching this and they're salivating. They are happy that Rolling Stones and The Guardian are ripping on a movie that exposes them.
He is so right. These sick people like Warren Harrer, Candace Harrer's brother, who was released from jail in August of 2021 and got caught pleasing himself outside of a McDonald's playground. People like Candace Harrer's brother love when people are saying this isn't real. They love when Tim Mullen says this is bigger than Summer Wells. They love it. They love it. Salivating. They are salivating. Dawn is salivating. Candace seems a little worried. Grandis is laying low as usual. I still want to know what was going on that CPS got called. Did they get called to the no-tell motel in Arkansas because of Margie's kids, or did they go to Ben Hill? Why was she there taking care of Margie? Because we know Candace doesn't give a rat's ass about anybody. Anybody. And who the hell would want her around their kids? I'm still waiting on Kathy, the friend, to tell me that. Who would want Candace around their children?
Well, Candace has got her ankle problem, but my daughter has to do 6 weeks of, I probably shouldn't share this, but I'm going to, but my daughter has infection in her bones, which is normally fatal. But she's got some good doctors on her side. She's been in surgery, and so she's got to go through 6 weeks of infusions or whatever, you know, and so Candace is going to stay here and help her all she can for another 6 weeks.
For another 6 weeks. And we heard Candace, a very incoherent Candace, and you hear Margie in the background saying she's cooking. Why would the caretaker not be cooking for the one they're caring for? I already said what was going to happen. I said she's going to have Margie running all her errands. She's going to be like, hey, Miss Bone Infection, on your way back, make a U-turn. I don't care, but I need a jug of some brown liquid. It says R&R on it. Get me a pack of smokes. She even said when she talked to one of our friends in here, she said, Margie's not even really that sick. Okay, then why'd you stay behind? The last time you were a caregiver is your daughter disappeared. Then your 3 boys. You lost 2 kids in Wisconsin. You were supposed to be watching Dawn's mom, and she suddenly died. You're like that bitch on Murder, She Wrote. Everywhere you go, someone dies or disappears. I wouldn't let her near my damn house. Huda said, I believe something happened to her when they went swimming. Hunter spoke about the possible secondary drowning. Hunter was traumatized. A lot of people, and I'm not going to dismiss anything, a lot of people have talked about this secondary drowning, but Hunter wouldn't know. Hunter doesn't even know what that is. I think he had just been reading what was being said in Facebook groups and stuff.
I don't think a lot of people knew what that was until this case. I had to look it up when people started bringing it up. It's not something you really think about because it's not all that common, I don't believe.
It's super uncommon. It's super uncommon. But you know what is common? Escalated child abuse. When someone, I'm just going to throw a name out there, like Adam Montgomery or Pearl Fernandez or Candace Wells, when they have a child go missing, or Leilani Simon, they go back through the records and they realize this was a child that had already had to be intervened with because they had been abused. And it escalates, and that child sometimes dies. Now, there's other channels that say there's no correlation between child abuse and child murder. I've got a whole list of children that it more than correlated with.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get our head out of the sand or off the internet or whatever they're doing, because the kids deserve better than this deflection and excuses for suspects.
Yeah, we've reached a point in life and society, whatever you want to call it, where you can no longer be of the mindset that parents can't hurt their children. Mm-hmm. It's I mean, you know, maybe one time, a long time ago, people could, I don't know, but there's this mindset that you just cannot fathom somebody hurting their child, and none of us want to think that, but it's ignorant to think it's impossible. Whether it happened in this case or not, in general, it's ignorant to think that can't happen. And certain people have that mindset where it can't be the parents because you just don't want to imagine that. Well, none of us want to imagine it, but it's possible and it happens. And we do a disservice to children if we just write off a very real possibility.
It's more than possible. It's more than it. Yeah, you're exactly right. It's possible. It's more than possible. It's such a direct link. Harmony Montgomery, abused. Guess what? Her father's on trial for murder. Little AJ in Illinois, abused. Guess what? His mom, his parents are in jail for murder. Gabriel Fernandez, abused. Guess what? Mom and boyfriend are in jail for murder. Oakley Carlson, abused, put in foster care, given back to her parents. They said she got eaten by wolves. Olivia Jansen, abused. Guess what? Her dad and the girlfriend are in jail for murder. I can go on and on. So I cannot believe that some of these channels are saying, Well, because they're neglectful and lost kids in the past doesn't make them bad parents. Well, what does it make them? What does it make them? I heard one creator say, I know lots of people who've lost their children and then they turn things right around. Good for them. Good for them. We're talking about something different here. Blue Petunia said that. If it doesn't, I'm really tired of children being so discounted by some people in this society. They act like they are a goldfish. You can just go and get another one. That's how they act. I don't.
100%. And we will not be a society any longer if we can't value our children. We won't be. I mean, our children are the most vulnerable people in our community, in our society, and they're our future. And if we continue to discount them and treat them as they don't matter and turn our eye to things that are happening to them, we crumble as a society. I mean, we just do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Once the moral fiber is gone, the rest goes to shit. And it's close. It's close. Well, I want to thank you guys for a great show. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you for not letting people stop you from talking about Summer Wells. I know that if you advocate, if you talk about a missing child, because we know the mainstream media isn't going to do it, you're labeled a tragedy pimp. You're exploiting the child. If anyone here thinks I'm actually exploiting what is going on with these children, then you might have to go find another channel, because I'm not down with that. But I appreciate each and every one of you. And thank you so much for being here. Trev, what you have done for Summer is just absolutely amazing. I want to say thank you to Connie for making it rain. We had several people making it rain today. Slim Hauser signed back up. Common Sense True Crime, thank you for the donation. Thank you for the donation, Lisa, as always. Huda, thank you for the super stickers. You guys are absolutely excuse me, I've got these allergies. You guys are absolutely amazing. Anything you want to say in closing, Trev?
Just want to say, I mean, thank you for what you do, Brooks, and keeping her name out there and all the others. You follow so many cases and keep even smaller cases out there. So keep up the good work. And for everybody that's watching, just keep Summer's name out there. Sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes we lose hope. But if you lose hope on your own for Summer's case, keep the hope for her, because other people aren't keeping the hope. And if we all stop talking about her, she's forgotten. And we can't let that happen. So keep up the fight. Stay the course. Justice for Summer.
Justice for Summer. And you're right. If we don't keep their names out there, just like we heard from Tim Ballard, these sickos, they salivate. They love it. They're like, oh, thank God they're not talking about her anymore. And I still believe that someone on Ben Hill Road thought, well, hell, no one's looking for Rose. They don't seem to be up in arms about it. Why are they going to care about some little 5-year-old girl from rural Tennessee? Boy, did they not get the shock of a lifetime. Would they not get a shock of a lifetime? All right, guys, you have a great rest of your Wednesday. Tomorrow, we have a huge show for Michael Vaughn. Tomorrow is going to be 2 years since he's gone missing. We know suspects have been named. We know his family has been harassed. So we're going to show up in droves, and we are definitely going to do it right. I will see you guys back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. if I don't see you in one of the Facebook groups or Discord. Thank you, Mod Squad. I know it was crazy today, but you guys always keep it classy and clean. Thank you for being the best chat and best community on the tube.